Welcome to the Mindful Healers podcast with Dr. Jessie Mahoney
and Dr. Ni-Cheng Liang.
We are physicians and leaders who are also trained in coaching, yoga, mindfulness, and integrative medicine.
We are also mothers, spouses, sisters, daughters, aunts, and friends.
In this podcast, we share candid, heart-centered, loving, science-based, thoughtful, and often fun conversations about the challenges life throws at us.
With our collective experience of over 30 years in physician and personal wellness, we reflect and offer pearls of wisdom for navigating life's challenges with more ease.
From parenting, marriages, money scarcity, cancer survivorship, uncertainty, challenges in practicing medicine, we cover it all.
We invite you to refresh your perspective and empower yourself with mindset, mindfulness, and other well-being tools that actually work. A quick reminder that nothing in our podcast is medical advice.
Welcome to today's episode about how to make a big decision mindfully. Our special guest today is my youngest son, Liam, and he's joining me to talk about college decision-making and making hard choices. Liam made his decision this morning to attend UC Berkeley in the fall as a stats major in their new School of Computing, Data Science, and Society. Liam was also accepted to UCLA, and he has spent the last month or so trying to decide which of these two schools to choose. And so the intention of today's episode is to talk about the decision-making process and share tools that can help, and also to give a younger perspective on decision-making, as well as a window into parenting young adults who are making decisions. And we hope you'll leave inspired, likely amused, and hopefully better equipped for your next big life decision. So Liam, thanks for joining me on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. And I'm going to give my disclosure, which we always do in medical talks, which is that I did agree to buy Liam a new Cal shirt once he decided if he did the podcast. And I told him I would pay for college if he did the podcast. So there is a little bit of bribery involved, but he's also humoring me. All right. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Liam.
Fair enough. So tell us how you made your decision over the last month.
I made my decision, basically, my main goals with college were to have the best time best time while I'm there, and to make sure that when I leave college, I can get a job that I will like so much that at the end of my life, I will wish I worked more.
So that sounds to me like you were making a decision from who you would become, from your future self, rather than just now, or did you balance who you want to be in college and who you want to be after? How did you balance those two?
I made a decision. I know that no matter where I was going to go to college, I was going to have a great time and it was going to be amazing. And like either way, no matter what I chose, in 5 years from now, I'd come back to it and say I made the right decision.
So you just showed two things that I'm always talking to people about when they make decisions. And this is actually what I want to point out as the younger perspective. So Liam has an abundance mindset. Both decisions are going to turn out great. So most of us, older people, and you'll laugh, we make decisions thinking about what's the worst case scenario and how both decisions could go wrong. And you're just counting on them both going right, which I love. And the other thing you mentioned there, which is awesome, is having your own back. I was going to ask you about that later. How are you going to have your own back? But it sounds like you've already decided. Once you make your decision, it's going to be a great decision. Is that true?
Especially with college, I mean, I'm pretty much everyone loves where they go to college and describes it as the best 4 years of my life. Well, my brother does, especially at Cal, but even Slade was like, that was a great time in my life. I had a really influential period. And so I think, especially at Cal and UCLA, which you both are great schools and have great life outside of school, I was going to have a great time in college. And then by the end of it, I was gonna love that college more because I went there, and then I'd have my own back either way.
Yeah, I love that. So I have a question for you, though. You had a lot of people giving you different opinions about the right choice. Did you think there was a right choice?
I thought they were both right choices. I don't think there was a wrong choice.
Yeah, beautiful. And then you also had a lot of people you love trying to influence your decision. How did you stay aligned and authentic to you and what you wanted in that process?
Well, the people I love decisions were very, like, their opinions were very important to me. Like, and Owen's is extremely valid because Owen went to Cal and he had what he would say is the best 4 years of his life. He would give anything to go back to where I'm at right now, is actually what he said. He is biased, but like other people's, and so I did take exactly what he said. And I tried to use what he said and then tried to talk to other people he knew to get kind of a more detailed account and a more like realistic account. If I don't have the exact same experience that Owen has, am I still going to have a great time? And then my grandparents, they live in Berkeley, so they obviously really strong things. I'll say I didn't really take their opinion about the schools and where I should go to into consideration at all. I took it in the fact that they would be there and that would be a positive into consideration, and that I want to be near them so I can hang out with them and kind of be there with them for the last however many years they have left. But I didn't actually take their opinions on the school in too much account. And then I think what you and what Dad did is you basically gave me the entire decision by myself. You said that you didn't care.
Was that helpful or not helpful?
I thought that was helpful. I'm pretty sure if you guys told me you wanted me to go to one school, I probably would have went to the other one.
We knew that. We knew that. That's absolutely true. And I am wondering, well, I have a couple of points to make and more questions. So one, you were talking about your grandparents, and I just want to point out that that is a decision-making strategy. And Liam didn't know what I was going to talk about, and I'm just watching him make his decisions and noticing all the decision-making strategies in there, and I thought it would be a useful conversation. But one of the strategies is not to make a pros and cons list, but to actually make the list as a priority list in the things that are most important to you. And as you mentioned, being near your grandparents was really important to you, and your middle brother's thoughts and opinions and what he values, you consider him most like you. And so you weigh those heavily. And those things that he values tend to be things that you value.
Yeah, I would say that if I probably trust Owen as much, if not more, than anyone else on earth, just based on the stuff that we went through growing up and all the times we've had. And then he also is into similar things that I have, and he's gone through the same injury I have and has had to adjust the same life ways. And then like Slade also really trusts Slade. Slade's initial opinion was that I should go to UCLA because he wants me to be my own person and take my own path. But the thoughts that I heard from Owen and all that is that I will not have the same path at Cal. And what I believed is even if I did a lot of the same things Owen did, I'd have a completely different experience because no two experiences are the same. And I mean, LA, like I went to visit LA and I mean, it's really nice. It's kind of wows you with how nice it is. But when I went to Cal, that kind of felt more like my scene.
Yes, so that's the authentic fit, or what felt comfortable for you. But I also know you had a grandparent who weighed in that they thought it would be really good for you to be uncomfortable and be in a spot that maybe didn't fit for personal growth. How did you weigh that thought in?
Well, the way that grandparent actually phrased it, I thought was probably the best opinion I got on college because it was completely objective, and that he said college was all about having new experiences, and UCLA, I'd be in a completely different part of the state in Southern California and I've had completely new experience. The other part I weighed in is I did weigh in that I would probably be more comfortable at Cal and more uncomfortable at UCLA. And especially from someone my age, I believe that it's really important to be uncomfortable, and that when you're uncomfortable, that forces you to grow into the best version of yourself. But at the end of the day, I decided I'd be uncomfortable, like, because it would be such a new experience either way. I'd still be uncomfortable at Cal.
You'd be uncomfortable enough at Cal.
Yeah.
My thought is and this often comes up in decision making, both colleges will be uncomfortable and comfortable in different ways. And it's just making the choice of which discomfort and comforts you value more.
Yeah, I value being uncomfortable a lot. I think if you're comfortable your whole life, you'll never do anything new or never try anything that's hard. If you don't try anything that's hard, what are you doing?
And so what's your thought about why you'll be uncomfortable at Cal, given that it's fairly close to home? What about it is going to be uncomfortable in a growth way?
I think the classes, especially in my college of computing, data science, and society, will be extremely uncomfortable. You hear about people getting like 20 out of 80 on their exams, and that's a B.
That's uncomfortable.
I think Cal will push me to failure a lot.
Mm-hmm. And what's your thought about failure? Are you willing to embrace failure?
Yeah, I mean, you can't fail if you don't try. And if you try, you always fail. If you don't try, you always fail.
True. Do you see failure as a part of growth?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you didn't fail, then you already could do it.
Yeah. So the fact that you're not afraid of the hard part or the challenge. Yeah. Okay. And it sounded to me like your friends/peers all would vote for UCLA. And so how did you step out of that peer pressure energy to decide what was more important to you?
I would say a lot of my friends did think that UCLA was better, but I think that's also based on a lot of misconceptions, especially at Lowell, about Cal. And that most people want to get away from their parents, where I know that, like, no matter where I went, you guys would not bother me.
Yeah. Is that good or bad? I mean, my philosophy is college is a time for you to grow. I don't want to be in your face, and I'm ready to for the next phase, and I think you're ready for the next phase. But
yeah, I think someone yesterday joked, they're like, are you going to live in the dorms or are you going to live at the new house? And I was like, if I was going to live at the new house, I'd go to UCLA.
Yeah, fair enough. And so you were able to not let the peer pressure or what others would think sway your decision.
I don't generally care too much about what other people will think.
Okay.
It's more about making my life the most fulfilling it can be.
And so that was the criteria that you used. Which one will make your life the most fulfilling ultimately in the short term or the long term?
I wouldn't say I used that criteria to make my decision. I would say I more used the decision of, at Cal, I felt like, especially with Owen and all of Owen's friends who did similar majors to what I'm going to be doing, I will kind of have not an easier path, but I will have a lot of resources to call on to try to figure out the best way to go about it. And I think, like, my potential to maximize Cal there using those resources is higher than my max potential at UCLA.
Oh, I like that theory. The other thing that I just want to bring up here is a lot of times we think that choosing the harder path is the better one. And what I hear you saying, and I remember also thinking this a bit about Owen, is that you guys want to jump in the flow of the river, and, like, wherever there's a way that will help make the journey easier to help you get farther, you'll pick that way. Not necessarily clawing tooth and nail. Not that you don't work hard, because of course Cal will be very hard, but that you like to be strategic about your approach.
I would say I like to paddle in the direction of the river.
Yes, exactly. And I do think your decision to go to Cal is more about paddling in the flow of the river. There's a little more comfort, there's a little more support, there's and a lot more knowledge about how the system works.
Yeah, I also thought that, like, I looked into different paths I wanted to do. I was potentially interested in exploring whether I was going into finance or tech, which I really think is probably what I'll end up doing, something similar to that. And like Cal sent, I think, 300 people into big finance firms last year, and UCLA sent 80.
And so that is making a decision from your future self, right? Who do you want to become, and which one's going to help you become that person, rather than the short-term goal of which one's going to feel better as a freshman?
Yeah. I mean, I think either decision was going to feel great as a freshman. I'm going to be all alone by myself. I think Owen gave a great description of college, and he went, it's like a 6-month sleepover with all of your best friends, and you get to do whatever you want.
What if it's also hard?
Okay.
Okay, I'm just,
Maybe
I think
hard.
that's funny. And I will tell our listeners that Owen, Liam's middle brother, is an incredible salesman. And so we had a number of conversations with him where he was selling Liam on what he thought was the better decision. So how did you, knowing that he was a good salesman, how did you make a decision, not from the salesman standpoint, but hopefully from the facts standpoint?
I asked to talk to one of his friends who, I thought the conversation I actually had with his friend was one of the most valuable decisions I had in making my decision. Besides going to Cal Day, I would say it was the most valuable.
What was helpful about that conversation?
Well, he was also someone who had the same choice of going to Cal or UCLA and chose to go to Cal as well, but he gave a very objective read of both schools and like what was different about them and what he would do. And then he basically said why I should go to Cal, in his words.
And so you felt like that was an unbiased opinion.
I mean, it was definitely still biased, but he even told me at the start of the call, I'm not going to try to sell you. Like if I was in your position, I wouldn't want someone to try to sell me. I just want someone to kind of give them their objective view of the school.
Okay. And did you consider the impact of just sort of luck on your decision? Like you could go to Cal and have one set of luck and go to UCLA and have another set of luck, and who knows what will happen?
You make your own luck.
Ah, except there is some luck in there. I often use this book called How to Decide by Annie Duke. She's a poker player, but yes, you can make some of your own luck, but not all of it. So she says that most of the time when we make decisions, we discount luck. And I would say the luck perhaps of meeting someone to fall in love with. Part of the people who were weighing in on Liam's decision in family said, well, it's a really important decision because they met their future spouse there, and they wouldn't have the children they have if they picked a different college. And I did notice that that didn't really sway you either way, but I do think that is probably the luck factor, right?
I guess, but I think that you'll have the opportunity to meet lots of amazing people who you could potentially fall in love with at either school.
Oh, more abundance mindset. And I will say Liam's an expert at abundance mindset, believing it's going to turn out well and looking at all the positive potential options and not worrying about the negative, which I try to learn from on the regular. So tell me, you were much more patient making this decision than with any other decision I've ever seen in your short life. Why did you take your time?
I wouldn't say I purposely took my time or not, and I've like had it pretty much decided for I think almost maybe 2 or 3 weeks now that I wanted to go to Cal. I just wasn't ready to turn in the paperwork. I would say I had to get because when I got into UCLA, which was I think March 15th, was a lot earlier than Cal. That was the first school I got into that I was really excited about going to. And so like the excitement of getting in there, and then I think it was 2 weeks till Cal even came out. So then I was looking up all these things about UCLA. I'm like, wow, UCLA is pretty awesome. And then kind of got into Cal, and I wasn't that excited. And so like my initial thought after I got in was, and I talked to Owen on the phone, and he asked where I was leaning. I said I was leaning towards UCLA because I was a lot more excited when I got in there than when I got into Cal. But then you kind of like those feelings die down, and you realize, yeah, like UCLA is awesome, and you're definitely excited about UCLA in some regards, but you're more excited about knowing that it was all going to turn out in a way that you would be happy with.
Okay.
And so I kind of had to wash away those feelings. Then I needed to see both schools, which took a few weeks of planning to get me to both schools.
Mhm.
And then I felt like I kind of made my decision off of like the vibe I felt there.
So the fit decision. But after you made your decision, you waited another 2 weeks before you actually put down your deposit. What was happening there?
I would say that like UCLA is it's like, especially for kids at my school, it's probably the school every single person in my school wants, or the vast majority of them want to go to.
Was it a little bit of fear of missing out? You didn't want to miss that opportunity. Wouldn't it have been nice if you could have gone to both? I mean, I know you can't be in two places at once.
No, I wouldn't want to waste 8 years going.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
I would say that it was more about being scared to throw away such a good opportunity, even though I have what I decided was a better opportunity to go to. That what if I found out something about UCLA that I didn't know, and I decided that changed everything. But I think at a certain point, it was just like, I know I'm going to do this. Why am I waiting longer?
And so it sounds like the patience was just getting used to the decision and making sure that you weren't missing something.
Yeah, I was making sure that I was fully comfortable with the decision I made.
Okay. The other thing you brought up there, which is fun, is this idea that even though many people would think the UCLA opportunity was a better opportunity, you personalized the decision for what was better for you and what you were interested in studying.
I would say I made a very objective read on which decision was objectively better for what I'm trying to do in my life.
Okay. And so tell me if there was anything that I did or Dad did that was helpful in your decision making, aside from telling you that we didn't care which decision you made. They were both the same to us. And we were fortunate in that financially, they're both exactly the same decision. And we know both schools. So we were really comfortable with either. But was there anything else in the process that we did that was helpful or not helpful in your decision making?
Well, you guys gave me your objective opinions about each school, and then you guys honored my wish to go see both of them, which I thought was probably the most important factor in my decision. Because I think there's like this myth that UCLA's campus is like way nicer than Cal. And while it is probably a little bit nicer,
It's cleaner.
it's cleaner. They have all of the housing in like one area that's a city, it's kind of like a mini city, which is really cool. I thought that Cal's campus, I mean, it definitely was not as nice, but it was not completely different or completely worse.
It's a different campus. One is much more urban, and one is more of an island in the midst of urban, and one is mixed
Yeah, I
with
would say that
urban.
UCLA is kind of like an island in LA that's,
An island
especially
unto
without a
itself.
car, a kind of journey to anything you'd actually want to go to. Although I would say when I was in UCLA and then you look over there and you see Bel Air and you're like, wow, that's really nice.
Yeah.
It is a little bit motivational.
One thought that I had too is when we make decisions, right? College is 4 years and we want to make the decision for who we are today. But you also have to think about, oh, who will I be in 2 years? Because I'll still be going there. Who will I be in 3 years? I'll still be going there. And which is going to fit you for the next 4 years, not just who you want to become, but how does it fit when you're a senior? Which one would you rather be at? Because all of the years being equally important.
That's true, but I also could transfer if I really didn't like Cal into
Abundant mindset yet again out of Liam. I love it. So this is a little bit of a different question, but I thought it would be fun. I know that you have a bit of a mindfulness meditation journaling practice. Can you share the 18-year-old version of that if you're willing?
I do yoga every morning, but that mostly started as a way to get more flexible for my baseball, and then I'll meditate for like 3 to 5 minutes, just doing breathing exercises afterwards, and then I do journal every day, just things I find interesting because I think it's good to write a little bit every day, and then I'll write what I have to get done each day.
Okay. And you don't do your mom's yoga or your mom's kind of yoga. So you're doing yoga for flexibility, or are you
I'm
doing it for mindfulness?
Yoga for sport,
Strength and
so I
flexibility.
can win.
Okay. So you can be a better baseball player. Are you
Yeah.
going to keep doing it when you finish your baseball career at the end of the year?
Yeah, I will, because I just feel like your body feels better when you stretch.
Okay. And do you think the mindfulness helps you with your focus, or how does it help you?
I would say the mindfulness helps my focus. I'd say working out every day and like getting a sweat in every day is helpful. I think the combination of mindfulness and like meditating once a day with getting a workout in every day is like, because I think if you're not happy, you're not focused. So I think those two things can help bring you more joy and then more like alignment in what you're trying to accomplish with the day and try to make the most out of every day.
And so your mindfulness journaling yoga practice is to help you make the most out of every day?
You got to win the day.
I love it. Okay. And I just want to add in, I don't tell him to do any of these things. In fact, if I did, he probably wouldn't do them. So I just noticed that he was doing them. So I always like to see that we all do mindfulness and yoga and meditation and journaling and mindset work. Liam is actually an expert at mindset work on his own in different ways. And for each of us, it works differently. And there are a million different ways to do it. Do you have anything else you want to share?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. I am going to share one quote at the end, which actually a good friend of mine whose son also decided where to go to college right before we recorded this podcast that she shared. And it's a great quote, and it's from The Alchemist, which I know you've read. And it says, making a decision was only the beginning of things. When someone makes a decision, he is diving into a strong current that will carry him to places he never dreamed of when he first made the decision. What do you think of that quote?
You can only control the moment, so
Yeah, but do you think that your decision will take you to places that you'd never dreamed of when you made it? Hopefully even better.
I mean, it'll definitely lead to it. Like, it's definitely a crossroads in my life. Like my life, I might be in the same position economically or financially, or I might be doing the same job, but the people I'll know, the experiences I'll have will have been much different depending on which school I went to.
And I noticed that you didn't really seem from the outside to feel pressured to make a decision.
I don't care what other people think.
Or pressured by the weight of, as you just said, it was an important life decision, but you didn't spend the last month seeming like you were making an important life decision for the most part. Is that true? Or did you feel like you were?
I considered my options. I'm not going to let what my decision and what's going to be going on in the future weigh down my present moment and make the present moment worse, because who knows? I may get wrecked in a car crash and not even get to the future, and then I will have wasted months on making this decision that I didn't even get to live up.
Yeah, you're not much of a ruminator.
No.
Yeah. All right. So what advice do you have for other people who are making their own college decisions, maybe next year, since most people have already decided, since the deadline for most people is on Wednesday? Or even any other big
No, they
decision.
switched all of them to May 15th.
Okay, some of them, not all of them. So tell me, what advice do you have?
I would say try to figure out the place that will give you the most happiness in your life and what you want to accomplish and will allow you to feel the most fulfilled with your life.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for coming on and chatting with me. Hopefully it was fun and worth it. And we all wish you a fantastic next 4 years.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
We encourage you to dive into the show notes for each episode for more learnings and resources.
We also invite you to take a listen to the many other Mindful Healers podcast episodes. And please share the podcast far and wide with colleagues, friends, and family.
If our message and approach resonate with you, we would love to work with you.
When you listen to a podcast, you consume information, but when you work with us, you can actually practice and change.
We offer coaching and mindfulness experiences, talks, workshops, retreats, and more. Connect with us at themindfulhealerspodcast.com.
The content of this podcast is not medical or life advice. We invite you to participate in the mindful moments we offer at the end of most of our podcasts, but please only do so safely.
Welcome to today's mindful moment. Taking a moment to pause and breathe, and bring a hand to heart and another hand to top. And this moment will be a moment to reflect on a decision that you have to make. What if that decision, whatever it is, turns out great? What if both choices turn out fabulously? Which one would you choose? Taking a breath in and out. What if both choices were right? What if you couldn't make a mistake? Which one would you choose? What would your future self recommend you do? To either make the decision or to figure out how to make the decision? What would peace do? What if no one would judge your decision? Which would you choose? Who do you want to become? Which decision will help you become that? And noticing if you have clarity or tension or flip-flopping or stress. And breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. We'll take in 3 huge, delicious breaths. Sending yourself love and kindness and compassion. Channeling a bit of abundance mindset. Assuming everything will turn out well. That luck will support you either way. Gently opening eyes, lowering hands, adjusting back into the light, and noticing how you feel. Some encouragement to sit with the decision for a little longer. Have a beautiful day.